We went home. I didn't know what else to do. The drive back that morning felt like a funeral procession. C sat in the back seat staring out the window, silent. I kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, hoping to see some sign of my son, but he looked hollow, empty. When we pulled into the driveway, I felt it immediately. The house looked the same. Same beige siding, same red door, same flowers I'd planted last spring. But something was wrong. It felt wrong, like the air around was heavier, darker, oppressive. It was as if the house was looking, no, staring at us. I could feel the oppressive eyes that were the windows, the grinning mouth that was our front deck that sagged with age. The house looked foreboding, ominous, evil. Tallboy knew we were home. C unbuckled himself and walked straight inside without waiting for me. No hesitation, like he was being pulled. I stood in the driveway for a moment, staring at the open front door, and every instinct in my body screamed at me to get back into the car and drive. Just drive and never come back. But he's my son. I can't leave him. Inside, the house was cold. Not just cool, it was cold. Like walking into a freezer. I checked the thermostat, 72 degrees. But I could see my breath. "See?" I called out. No answer. I found him in his room, sitting on his bed, staring at a corner, whispering. "Hey, buddy," I said softly. "Are you okay?" He didn't look at me. "The tall boy says you can't stop him." My blood ran cold. "See, he says it's too late." I knelt down in front of him, trying to get him to look at me, but his eyes were fixed on that empty corner. Glassy, distant. I made a decision right then. I went to my office, closed the door, and searched online for paranormal investigators. I felt ridiculous typing it into Google, but I was out of options. Therapy wasn't going to help. The police couldn't do anything. I needed someone who dealt with things that shouldn't exist. After what seemed like an eternity and a flood of forms, Google searches, and about 3 dozen results of either amateurs and fakes, I found a team about 3 hours away. The website looked professional. Case studies, testimonials, photos of equipment. I called the number and I got a voicemail. I left a message, and I'm not proud of how desperate I sounded. "My name is... My 4-year-old son has been talking to something he calls the tall boy for months. He knows things he shouldn't know. The details about my childhood, about my wife's death. His room is freezing cold, no matter what I do. He's stopped eating, he's losing weight. I can hear voices in his room at night. We tried to leave and it followed us. My son is terrified and so am I. Please, I need help." I hung up and sat at my desk, head in my hands, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life by admitting all of this out loud to a stranger. I sounded like a head case, certifiably insane. There's no way they're gonna call back. I paced around my office. I went to go check on C while he was still in his room. He was staring off into nothing. I asked him if he was hungry. He shook his head, and I asked if he wanted to watch Aladdin, his favorite movie. Again, he shook his head. He just stared at the corner of his room. After what felt like hours, my phone rang. "This is..." a woman's voice said. "I got your message. I'm a medium. I work with a paranormal investigator team. Can you tell me more about what's happening?" I told her everything. The imaginary friend, the things C knew, the cold room, the whispers, the breathing, the hotel, the door opening at night. C's promised to come back. The voice that sounded like primal growls. There was a long silence on the other end. "We can be there this afternoon," she said finally. "I'm cleaning our schedule. What you're describing, we need to see you as soon as possible." "Is it that bad?" I asked. Another pause. "I don't want to scare you, but yes, it sounds very bad. We'll be there by 3. They arrived at 2:47 p.m. 3 people got out of a white van. The median was a woman in her 40s, dark hair that fell to her shoulders, wearing jeans and a simple black jacket, professional, calm. The other 2 were younger, a man and a woman, both carrying equipment cases. The woman said, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm. Her eyes were kind but serious. "These are my colleagues. They'll be taking readings and documenting everything. Where's your son?" "In his room," I said. "Show us." I led them through the house. The medium walked slowly, her eyes moving over everything. She'd pause occasionally, tilting her head like she was listening to something that I couldn't hear. The baseline temperature and EMF readings are normal here, the man said, checking a device in the living room. Nothing unusual. We moved through the kitchen, the hallway, my bedroom, a few blips here and there. The team wrote down things in a small notebook as they went through the house. Then we got to C's room. The moment the medium stepped into the doorway, she stopped. Her whole body weight was rigid. "Oh," she said quietly. "Oh, this is very bad." The temperature drop was immediate and obvious. The man with the thermal camera swore under his breath. "Fuck, it's 48 degrees in here. The rest of the house is 72. EMF is spiking," the woman said, her meter beeping frantically. "This shouldn't be possible. There's no electrical source that caused this." He was sitting on his bed, exactly where I'd left him, staring into the corner. The medium knelt down in front of him, keeping her distance. "Hi, sweetheart. My name is... Can you tell me who you're talking to?" C finally looked at someone. His eyes focused on her, and for a moment, he looked like my son again. "The tall boy," he whispered. "Is he here right now?" C nodded. "Where?" C pointed to the corner, the empty corner where he had been staring. The medium stood up slowly, her eyes never leaving that corner. She took a step forward towards it. That's when C changed. His face twisted into something ugly. Angry, he screamed. "Get out! You can't be here!" See, it's okay," I started. "No!" he shrieked, and suddenly he was off the bed, trying to push past me, trying to get to the medium. "She has to leave! Get out of here!" But it wasn't his voice. It was deeper, it was raspier, it was wrong. I grabbed him, held him back, but he was thrashing, screaming, fighting me, with a strength that didn't make sense for a 4-year-old. "That's not your son right now," the medium said calmly. "The entity is using him. It knows I'm a threat. Please," I begged, holding C as he writhed in my arms. "Please, you have to help him. Please, you have to help him." The medium's eyes were still in that corner. "I will. But first I need to understand what we're dealing with." She spent the next few hours taking readings, asking questions, documenting everything. C eventually exhausted himself and sat on the floor, rocking back and forth, whispering every once in a while when he would look up and stare at the medium. His eyes dark, full of hate that a 4-year-old couldn't even know. This was beyond hate. This was loathing. The tech that captured EVP recordings, when they played them back later, beneath C's whisper there was that voice. The growling, primal voice, saying things I couldn't make out, but that made my skin crawl. They took photos. In some of them, there was a shadow in the corner, a tall shadow that shouldn't have been there, given the light. Finally, the medium sat down with me in the living room, while her team continued documenting. C was in the room, door open, where I could see him. "What you're dealing with is not an imaginary friend," she said. "It's a parasitic entity, a grief demon." "What?" "They target people who are grieving, usually children, because children are more vulnerable. Their energy is easier to feed on." "When did your wife die?" "A year ago. Car accident." She nodded grimly. "That's when it attached to your son. These entities, they've drawn to grief like sharks to blood. They find families that have experienced loss, and they feed on the pain, the fear, the sadness. But how does it know things about me, my childhood, about my dog, Dakota? It's been watching you, learning about you. These things are patient. They observe, they wait, and when the opportunity presents itself, when you're at the most vulnerable, they strike. Your wife's death created the perfect opening. Your son was grieving, you were grieving. It attached to him, but it's been feeding off you, both of you." My stomach turned. "What do you mean, feeding?" "The cold in this room? That's it, drawing energy. The fact that he's not eating, then he's losing weight. It's draining his life force. The isolation, the fear, the imminent knowledge it's shared. All of it is designed to make you both feel powerless, hopeless. The more despair you feel, the stronger it becomes." "What does it want?" Her expression darkened. "It wants to consume your son completely. Right now, it's still in the Right now, it's still in the parasitic stage, feeding on him, weakening him. But eventually, if left unchecked, it will have drained enough of his energy, his will, his life force, that there will be nothing left to fight back, and then it will take him fully. Take him where? Not where. Take him. As in possess him, become him. And once it has your son, it will continue to feed off your grief forever. Or, she hesitated, or what? Or it will come for you next. I felt like I was going to be sick. How do we stop it? There's a ritual, a banishment, but it's not easy and it's not safe. We need specific items, blessed sage, holy water, religious text, consecrated crosses. We need to create a space of protection and spiritual warfare. It will fight us. It will fight hard. When can we do it? Tomorrow night. I need today to gather everything we need to prepare. I need to meditate. This isn't something we can rush into. One mistake, and she stopped herself. And what? And it could kill him, or all of us. Before I could respond, the temperature in the house plummeted. I could see my breath again, thick clouds of it. The light flickered. Everyone stay calm, the medium said, standing up. The air felt wrong, thick, oppressive, like something was pressing down on me from all sides. And then I saw him in the hallway, standing between me and C's room. The tall boy. He wasn't human. He wasn't even a shadow on the wall. He was three-dimensional, solid in all ways that didn't make sense, like darkness has peeled itself away from the walls and taken shape. He was impossibly tall, at least 7 feet, maybe more. Looming, his head nearly touched the ceiling. His body was wrong, too long, too thin, proportions that made my brain hurt to look at. And his eyes, two burning red points of mass, of shadow, staring at me, through me. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The medium stepped forward, positioning herself between me and the entity. You're not welcome here, she said, her voice steady but loud. This family is under protection. You need... The entity moved. It didn't walk, it surged forward, impossibly fast, and suddenly it was inches from the medium's face. She stumbled back, gasping. Doors throughout the house began slamming, opening. Open, shut, open, shut. The sound was deafening. Pictures flew off the wall, glass shattering. The furniture in the living room shook. Daddy! C screamed from his room. I tried to run to him, but something stopped me. I felt a searing pain across my chest and looked down, pulled my shirt up. 3 long scratches appearing across my skin. Blood welled up immediately. The entity hadn't touched me. It was standing in the hallway, but I was bleeding. The medium's eyes were wide, locked onto the entity. Her lips were moving, praying, I think, but I couldn't hear her over the chaos. The slamming doors ceased, screaming, my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then the entity turned its attention to her. I watched in horror as it leaned down, its faceless head inches from hers. Its mouth, if it had a mouth, moved. The medium went pale. She was hearing something. Something I couldn't. The entity spoke to her for maybe 10 seconds. Then it was gone. Just gone. The slamming stopped. The cold lessened slightly. The oppressive weight lifted. The medium staggered backwards and sat hard on the couch. Her hands were shaking. What did it say? I asked, pressing my hands to my bleeding chest. What did it tell you? She looked at me. I'd never seen anyone look so scared. It said, it's almost done. That's been feeding on your son for months. And it's starting, and it's almost strong enough to take what it wants. It said we can try to stop it, but it's more powerful than anything we've ever faced. It's been planning this since before your wife died. What do you mean before? She swallowed hard. I don't know. But it wanted me to be afraid. It wanted me to know that even I might not be able to stop this. But you're gonna try, right? The ritual, we'll do it tomorrow night, she said firmly, though I could see the fear in her eyes. I'll prepare everything. We'll place consecrated crosses around his room, burn blessed sage, use prayers from religious text. We'll do everything we can to force this thing out. Will it work? She met my eyes. I don't know. In 20 years of doing this work, I've never encountered something this powerful, this angry. But we have to try, because if we don't... She looked towards C's room. Another few days, maybe a week at most, and C won't be strong enough to fight back. The entity will be strong enough to fully take him, and there will be nothing anyone can do. The team packed up quickly after that. The medium gave her cell phone number. Keep him close tonight. Don't let him out of your sight. And if anything happens, anything at all, you call me immediately. Do you understand? I understand. And I watched them leave. The house felt like you were in a dark forest, with unknown specters hiding in the shadows watching. The silence was menacing. My ears rang. I've never heard a silence so loud, and you could feel the house breathing, watching, waiting to strike. I went to the bathroom and cleaned up the wound on my chest. Then I went to C. Why don't we sleep in my room tonight? He just stared forward, never losing sight of the corner. He was frozen in place. Frozen in fear. The inobedience of the tall boy. I didn't know, but he wouldn't move. I slept on the floor in the bedroom with him, or at least what little sleep I could get in the house, now that I know I was in it. Waiting for tomorrow, praying for this to be over. I don't know when I fell asleep or for how long, but I woke up this morning and the house was dark. There was no power and the feeling of the house was overwhelming. The medium and her team will be here in a few hours. I'm gonna try and keep my sanity waiting for them and keep C close. Pray for us. I don't know how this will end. I will update as soon as I can, if we survive this. They'd came early. I'd been sitting in C's room for hours, watching him stare at that corner, watching the darkness press in around us. The house had no power. My phone was at 23%. Every shadow felt alive, watching, waiting. When I heard the van pull up at 4:47 p.m., more than 2 hours early, I nearly cried with relief. The medium came through the door carrying 2 large duffel bags. Her team followed her with equipment cases and boxes. She took one look at me, and her expression hardened. It's gotten worse, she said. Not a question. And the power went out this morning. It won't come back on, and see, he hasn't moved. He's been staring at that corner for hours. He won't eat, he won't drink, he won't speak, just keeps mumbling to himself. She set the bags down and went immediately to C's room. I followed. C was exactly where I'd left him, sitting on his bed, back rigid, eyes locked on that empty corner. His lips were moving slightly, whispering something I couldn't hear. The medium knelt down in front of him, but he didn't touch him. C, can you hear me, sweetheart? Nothing. No response. His eyes didn't even flicker. He's almost gone, she said quietly, standing up. The entity has been draining him all night. We need to do this now. We don't have time to wait for tonight. What do we need to do? Everyone helps. This isn't something I can do alone. We're gonna create a barrier of protection around this room, and then we're gonna force that thing out. It's gonna try to fight us. It's gonna try to hurt us. But we cannot stop once we start, no matter what happens. Do you understand? I nodded, though I wasn't sure I did. The next 30 minutes were a blur of preparation. Bundles of dried sage tied with white string, small glass bottles of holy water, a worn leather Bible, and crosses, maybe a dozen of them, each one made out of dark wood and hanging from simple chains. The medium explained that they'd been blessed by a priest specifically for this purpose. She handed crosses to each of us. Keep these on. They're protection. Don't take them off. Then she began placing crosses all around C's room, on each wall above the door, on the window frame. She positioned them carefully, whispering prayers as she hung each one. C didn't react, didn't move, just kept staring at that corner. The temperature in the room dropped, another 10 degrees. I could see everyone's breath now. He knows what we're doing, the medium said. He's gathering his strength. Everyone positions. We formed a semicircle around C. The medium stood directly in front of him. I was to her left, her 2 team members on the right. She pulled out the sage bundle and lit them. The smoke was thick and white, filling the room with a sharp, clean smell. She walked around the space, weaving the burning sage, speaking in Latin, words I didn't understand, but that felt heavy, important. Then, she set the sage in a small bowl and picked up the Bible. "When I begin the prayer, you all repeat after me. Every word, loud and clear. Don't stop, don't hesitate, and whatever happens, don't break the circle." She opened the Bible to a marked page. "Are we ready?" We all nodded. She took a deep breath and began. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" We repeated it. Our voice sounded small in that cold room. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord in the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? The Lord in the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" Again, we repeated it. The temperature dropped further. The crosses on the wall began to rattle. The medium's voice grew stronger, more commanding. "We call upon the divine power of the Almighty to cast out this darkness. The entity has no claim here. This child is protected. This family is protected." The rattling grew louder. C's head twitched just slightly. "In the name of all that is holy and righteous, we command you to leave this place. You are not welcome. You have no power here." The lights still off, flickered once, twice, and then the room went completely dark. Not just dark, it went black, like something had swallowed every bit of light. We were in a void. "Keep praying," came the medium's voice from somewhere in the void. "Don't stop." We continued, our voices rising in the darkness. I couldn't see C anymore, couldn't see anything, just heard the prayers echoing around me and felt the cold burning my lungs with every breath. Then I heard it, a low, rumbling growl that seemed to come from everywhere at once, from the walls, from the floor, from the inside of my own chest. "By the power of Psalm 91, we rebuke you," the medium's voice rang out. "No evil shall befall this house. No plague shall come near this dwelling." The growling turned into a roar. Every cross on the wall flew off simultaneously, clattering to the floor. The furniture shook, the windows cracked open, and a sound like a gunshot. "Keep praying," the medium screamed. I could barely hear myself over the chaos, the roaring, the sounds of things breaking, my own heart thundering in my ears. Something brushed past me in the darkness. Something big, something that radiated cold so intense it hurt. Then the lights came back on, and the tall boy was standing in the center of the room. Not hiding anymore, not lurking in corners, fully manifested. That impossible height, that too thin body made of living shadow, those burning red eyes fixed on the medium. The male tech investigator screamed. The tall boy moved faster than anything that size should be able to move. It surged forward and grabbed him, lifted him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Roars so loud that my ears rang. I thought for sure he had burst my eardrums. Tall boy threw him across the room. He hit the wall with a sickening crack and crumpled to the floor. "Don't break the circle," the medium commanded. Even her voice shook. The female tech started towards her colleague, but the medium grabbed her arm. "The circle holds. We finish this." The tall boy turned its attention back towards us, specifically to the medium. It moved towards her, and the air pressure in the room changed. My ears popped, the pain almost unbearable. The temperature plummeted so fast that the frost formed on the windows. The medium shook her ground, Bible held in front of her like a shield, and spoke with her voice that didn't sound entirely like her own anymore. Stronger, deeper. "What do you want with this child? In the name of the divine, I command you to answer. Why, see?" The tall boy stopped inches from her face, leaned down. And then it happened. The medium's eyes went completely black. Her mouth opened, but the voice that came out wasn't hers. It was that growling primal voice. The voice from C's bedroom. The voice from my nightmares. "His grief tastes so sweet," the voice said through her mouth. "But the mother, oh, the mother tasted even better." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. "What did you do to her?" I heard myself ask, my voice breaking. The medium's head turned towards me. those black eyes fixed on mine, and then she smiled. It was the most horrible thing I'd ever seen. Her mouth stretched into a most menacing smile, so wide that it didn't even seem natural. Blood trickled down the corners of her mouth. I thought for sure he was going to tear her mouth and face.
"I took her first," the tall boy said through her. "She's been with me all this time, screaming, crying, begging, and soon the boy will join her."
"No," I shouted. "No, you're lying."
"Would you like to hear her voice?"
And then I did. My wife's voice, screaming. Not words, just pure, raw terror and agony. The sound of someone in unimaginable pain. The sound of someone who has been suffering for so long that there's nothing left but the screaming. "Stop it!" I shouted, tears swelling down my face. "Let her go! Let them both go!" The laughter came from the medium's mouth was inhuman, mad. It filled the room, drowning out everything else. The crosses fell. The window shattered completely. The pictures on the wall flew off and crashed to the floor. "You have no power here," I screamed. "You can't have him. You can't have my son." The laughter continued. The medium's body jerked and spasmed, like she was gonna fight something inside her. Then, through the chaos, through the laughter and the breaking glass, and my wife's scream still echoing in my head, I heard it. A small voice. "Daddy?" I looked at C. His eyes were different, clear, focused. He was looking at me. Really looking at me. "Daddy, I'm scared," he whispered. "I wanted to stop." Something in me broke. Or maybe something in me became stronger than it had ever been. I lunged forward. I grabbed C, pulled him into my arms. "I've got you," I said, holding him tight. "I've got you, buddy. I'm not letting go." The female tech moved to my side, began praying louder. The male tech, still on the floor, but conscious, started praying too. The medium's body was still jerking, but she was fighting. I could see her fighting. Her lips were moving, forming words, even though the tall boy's voice was still commanding from her mouth. "See," I said, pulling back to look at him. "I need you to be brave. I need you to tell the tall boy to go away. Can you do that?" C's eyes were met with tears, but he nodded. "Tell him, C. Tell him he has to leave." C's voice was small but clear. "Go away. You have to go away. I don't want you here anymore." The laughter stopped. The medium gasped and her eyes flickered. Black to brown to black to brown. "Louder," I urged. "Tell him. Go away," C shouted, his small voice crackling. "You can't have me. I don't want you," the medium screamed. The sound was awful. Two voices at once. Hers and the tall boy's, both screaming. She fell to her knees. We all started praying, all of us at once, the words tumbling over each other, desperate and loud and furious. The female tech threw holy water onto the medium's face. She screamed in pain, and we saw the water boil off her skin, steam rising into the air off her face. Redness formed where the water hit. The tech repeated, "No evil shall befall this house. No plague shall come near this dwelling," splashing holy water on her face. The medium screamed in pain, but it was working. As the tech continued the prayer, the tall boy's form began to flicker, like static, like it couldn't hold its shape anymore. "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we cast you out." The medium's voice, her real voice, broke through, strong and clear. "You have no claim here. You have no power. Leave this place." The tech took one of the crosses, poured holy water on it, and slammed it into the medium's forehead. "Leave this place at once. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command you to leave." The entity threw its head back and screamed, "We cast you out. We cast you back to hell." The sound wasn't just noise. It was something physical. It hit me like a wave, knocked me backwards, my ears rang, blood dripped from my nose. The male tech began to shout another prayer. "Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the wicked and snares of the devil." May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the Father, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Come on, everybody needs to say it, said the tech. We all shouted the prayer over and over. The wall shook so violently I thought the house would collapse. Both techs began to pray in Latin, repeating Psalm 67. They repeated it over and over, and then there was light. Blinding white light that filled every corner of the room, so bright I had to close my eyes, and the most horrible scream I'd ever hear. So demonic and animalistic that it made my blood run cold. I fell to my knees, wrapped C in my arms and covered my ears, repeating the prayer of Saint Michael. While the texts repeated their prayer in Latin, the screaming stopped, and when the light faded and I could see again, the tall boy was gone. The medium collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. The male tech was being helped up by his colleague. She was in my arms, trembling but conscious. The room was destroyed. Glass everywhere, crosses scattered across the floor, pictures broken, but it was warm. The oppressive cold was gone. And then, all at once, the power came back on. The lights flickered to life. I heard the refrigerator hum in the kitchen. The heater kicked on. Is it over? I asked, my voice hoarse. Is he gone? The medium picked herself up to sitting, wiping blood off her face. She looked exhausted, haunted, but she nodded. He's gone, she said. I can't feel him anymore. The presence is gone. I held C tighter and started crying. Relief, grief, exhaustion, everything at once. We sat in that destroyed room for a long time. The medics came for the injured tech. Broken ribs, but nothing life-threatening. The medium's team helped her to the living room. Someone brought water before they left. The mediums pulled me aside. Your son is strong, she said. Stronger than that thing anticipated. That's what saved him in the end. He fought back. Is it really over? She hesitated. The entity has been banished, forced out. Your son is free from its hold. But these entities, they can return. If C experiences significant trauma or grief, if he becomes vulnerable again, you need to keep him close, keep him safe, keep him happy. And if you ever notice anything, cold rooms, imaginary friends, strange behavior, you call me immediately. Do you understand? I understood. The paramedics took the injured tech to the hospital. Broken rib, they said. He'll be okay. The medium and her colleague stayed for another hour, making sure the entity was truly gone. They took readings throughout the house, all normal. The oppressive feeling was lifted. C's room was 70 degrees. Before she left, the medium pulled me aside one more time. Your son is free, she said. I can't sense the entity anymore. It's been banished. So it's over. She hesitated, and then hesitation made my stomach drop. These entities can return, and if the conditions are right. If C experiences severe trauma or grief again, if he becomes vulnerable, you need to watch for signs. Cold rooms, talking to corners, behavioral changes, and if you see anything, even the smallest thing, you call me immediately. She handed me her card. I'd already saved her number on my phone under emergency. Will he remember this? I asked. Most children don't retain clear memories of paranormal experiences. The mind protects itself. He might remember pieces, or he might not remember any of it. Either way, he's been through trauma. Be patient with him. After they left, I ordered pizza. C ate 3 slices. 3 full slices. I almost cried watching him. He fell asleep on the couch watching a cartoon, and I carried him to his room. His room was warm, normal. I sat on the edge of his bed and watched him sleep for a long time. He looked peaceful, like my son again. But I couldn't stop hearing my wife's screams, couldn't stop seeing those red eyes, couldn't stop wondering if what the tall boy said was true. That she had been suffering this whole time. I didn't know if I'll ever know. I'm writing this from C's bedroom floor. He's asleep in his bed above me. I brought a blanket and a pillow. I can't leave him alone yet. Maybe I never will. About an hour ago, something happened. C made a sound in his sleep. A small giggle. Just a quiet laugh. I sat up immediately watching him. He smiled in his sleep. His lips were moving slightly, whispering something I couldn't make out. "See?" I whispered. He didn't wake up, just kept smiling, kept whispering. I grabbed the thermometer from my pocket. I've been keeping it on me ever since the medium left. I checked the room's temperature. 70 degrees. I checked it again, 70 degrees. But for a second, just a fraction of a second, I swear, the air felt cooler. I'm probably paranoid. The medium said the entity is gone, and the readings were normal. C is eating again, sleeping peacefully, acting like himself. But I keep thinking about that giggle, the way his lips moved, like he was talking to someone. I have the medium's number already. My finger is hovering over the call button. But what would I tell her? That C giggled in his sleep? That the room felt cold for 1 second? What'd she tell me? She'd tell me it's trauma. Hyper-vigilant, my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe she'd be right. C rolled over in his sleep. He's peaceful, breathing normally. The room is warm. Everything is fine. It has to be fine. I'll keep watching tonight, and tomorrow night, and every night after that. I'll update if anything else happens. I'm praying to God that nothing does.